Okay, guys, this is a tutorial because you guys asked me to show you the inner workings of, or as in how to use Android Studio. You said that the classes were not enough, so I am making a bunch of short videos to guide you on how to use Android Studio. Okay, so as you can see, I'm using Ubuntu, but any operating system you use, Android Studio will work fine on it. It supports Mac, Linux, and Windows systems, so uh, they are basically the same thing. So okay, so you need to have Android Studio. Um, hope I know by now most of you have installed Android Studio, and the recent stable version is 3.6. So that's what I'm going to use, and I will not be running on my emulator. I don't want any mishaps or hanging on my Android my laptop. So I'll be using my phone, but I'll be mirroring my phone screen to you guys using Visor. So Visor is an app that lets me show my screen on here, so you guys can see my screen. Okay. Okay. So um, let me walk you guys through. So this is Android Studio. Let me minimize this, please. This is Android Studio. When you get this interface as a newbie, it can be confusing at times, and sometimes you don't know how to navigate your way through the the wizard. There are so many things you can do. So get help, all these other things, and all this. You don't even know what they mean. All these other things. So I'll be going through them one by one, but I will not go through. I'll just go through the most important ones. These are basically settings that you want to apply on your application. I'll come to those later and all those other things. But for here, this is where I'll focus for now. Okay, you can start a new Android Studio project. Okay, open an existing Android Studio project, which you should understand. It's just like save and start new and open. Then this one is to check out from version control. So what this means is that if you have an app in your repo like GitHub, and you just want to check it out in there, so you just add the URL to the Git repo, and it will download it and open the repo for you, open the app for you. This is for profile and debug. If someone sends you an app to check for them on Android Studio or something, you can just put it here, profile it, and debug it, and know what the problem is with the app. So you can import projects, like maybe a project that was not yours that was shared to you, also something like that's on GitHub. When you import the project, it will actually build the project and download all the Gradle files and everything. This option is important because before, for Android, um, they used to use Eclipse for Android development before, but it's not the same now. So if you have projects that use Eclipse and you just want it to be reformatted to work for Android Studio or something, I doubt there are still projects that was a long time ago or something. Okay, but just know that it's not all projects you just open. You have to import most of them. So Gradle will build and get all the dependencies for you. Opening an Android Studio project is like more like something you did on your own. You started on your own or something. Okay, so there is import code sample. I think I should go through this one. Import code sample is something that you may need. They're basically just samples of apps that have been made to show an example. For example, if you want to do something on animation, you can see activity scene transition basic. You just go through it and learn some things. It will download the repo for you and open it, so you actually see the code, and it's like a sample, you understand. So a sample, you know how the thing went, and you just like get it, like you will see the code. You can read the code. You can run the app, get everything. Sometimes samples are better than tutorials. I guess in a way. You see the code and that actually sticks with you. So it depends on what you want. So it's not just for Android phones. Samples here are not for Android phones. You can see complex things here, and there's some really simple ones. You can just start and work your way up. So um, the beginners, go have the beginners and then the advanced data binding, advanced data binding. Okay, for that. So okay, so it's not just I was saying it's not just for phones. The samples are not just for phones. You can actually um, get samples for wear. Okay, so I think somewhere here, yeah, wearable. You can get samples for wearable apps that are for watches. You understand? I think there should be some for TV or something, right? But I'm not sure I can see that here now. And Android things, okay? Android things and wearables. So Android things are your doorbell or whatever IoT stuff you're doing. Okay, so I hope that you make good use of the samples. There are actually other. I don't think this list is comprehensive. There are actually other official Android samples. Like if you go online on GitHub, you actually see some good ones like Played and some other ones. Like those samples are like some of the best samples you see online. Like the developers, they actually worked really good on it. Like there's actually an organization, yeah, Abby, yeah, an organization on GitHub that is called Google Samples. So on Google Samples, Google just that repository just as in just for samples. I hope you understand. So they actually just push only samples there. So you guys, it's for beginners and intermediate and even advanced guys. Yeah, everybody goes there to get info. Okay, so let's go to start a new project. And for this project, I will open an empty activity. Okay, so I'll click next, empty activity. The other ones you can choose. These are basically some other project templates that you can choose. See, there's native C++. There's tab for um, your tab layouts. There's scrolling activity for um, the scrolling. Once you scroll, the top will roll up and all those others. There's login activity. There's map. So it depends on what you want, but basically, I just want to give you the Hello World application. So I'll click next, and I will call it Hello World. Right. Okay. So Hello World, and I will call this. Let me call this start. ng. Okay. Start the ng Hello World, and I will use Kotlin, not Java. So Kotlin. For my minimum SDK, I prefer using 5.0, but you can use whatever you want. I actually prefer 5.0. You can go down to KitKat or 4.4 API 19. It will cover more devices. You actually get 95.3 devices. So if you go, then you see that the more lower you go, the more devices you cover. Like API 14, that's ice cream sandwich. Okay, covers 100% of all the devices in the market. So okay, so you understand. But in the higher you go, the more features you get, and the more features you can add to your app, but the less percentage of devices you cover. So for 5.0, you actually cover 85% of devices. Okay, so click finish. Don't use legacy Android support libraries. By default, the best the standard libraries now to use are the Android X libraries. So yeah, you notice if people that have used the support libraries before, they are actually now migrating their code to the Android X libraries right now. So if you're starting a project, it's best that you actually do not use this legacy support. Use Android X, and if you leave this unchecked, it will actually use Android X for you. So don't check that legacy Android support. It's very important because Android X is the packages. It's not sorry, the support libraries is no longer being maintained. So I think so. Android X is what you use now by default. So okay, so click finish, and your project will start building. Okay. Okay, that was fast. So, okay, still building. I don't want to install. Okay, so you see some things here building. So okay, so for the first time you're going to do some things, it will not be this fast. Or okay, my system is really fast. I have optimized my Android Studio and my environment to work very fast. So okay, you can see here my build was finished in 12 seconds. Was it 14 seconds? So, okay, it was configured successfully in 12 seconds. Okay, so this is where you come for build information. Whenever you try to run your app, okay, and something happens, like okay, like I was seeing some questions on start on the channel. People asking me something happened that they can't do this, they can't do that. When you try, okay, one of the places you come for information is this build. When something happens, it will show you what happened here. If you don't understand what it's trying to say, or what the error means, it's actually perfectly fine that you Google it, or like snap it, or use it and ask somebody. But you notice sometimes if people ask me for some things, I will say send me a screenshot so I know what I'm dealing with. You understand? Error messages. This is one of the reasons why I like Java and some languages that are related to the ecosystem, the Java ecosystem. Like these languages, the the errors are like, well, you can understand the error messages very well. The way they report their errors are very nice. Like there's a time I told someone that I actually like running my app and running into an error, and he was like, no. One of the things I don't like about most of these scripting languages, like Python, JavaScript, is that they will run all right, but when the time for debugging or all those things come, the error messages are not very useful. Like there sometimes I'll be using Python, and like I'll see an error, I'll be like, what does this mean? What are you trying to tell me? But in Android development, if I try to run something and I make a mistake here, to just tell me directly, like the line, as in it will just be um very helpful. I don't know if you get. So it actually saves you time, like very much. And that's why Android Studio was also, as in that mentality is what Android Studio also builds on. Like Android Studio helps you a lot, so try to reap Android Studio's benefits. So okay, so let me continue to from where I stopped. Okay, so I'm actually going to touch on a few things. Okay, so the things I'm going to touch on, I will not touch on emulator for now. That will be in another video. But I want to touch on the phone, how to set up an Android Studio to work with your phone, not your emulator. You can see from here, I have my phone running right now, and I have available devices. These are my virtual devices and my emulators. Okay, my 2 Nexus 6, Nexus 3. So okay, I can use anyone I want at any time, but I just chose to use my phone for now. Okay, so I will show you guys how to actually set up your what do they call it, your phone. So I told you guys I was running Visor. Okay, so this is Visor. I don't know why it's entered Google Play, but okay. So from my screen, why I use Visor is that so I can share my screen to you guys that are watching my desktop. Like normally, I can't share my screen directly from my phone, so this app helps me share my screen. So let me go down to settings. Right? Yeah, settings. So I can show you guys some things. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Settings. Okay. So my settings, I'll go to my system settings. Okay. So let me go to my about phone. Okay. So in your phone, to use Android Studio on your phone, you actually have to do a few things. Like when you open your phone, you will not see these developer options by default. You understand? These developer options does not come by default. It's not actually here. It is hidden. It's not for everybody's phone. But when you go to about phone and you click on build number, it will actually unlock your phone. You have to click on it a number of times. You know, if I click on it now, it will tell me no need. You're already a developer. Okay, so I've already activated that, and once you activate it, I don't think there's any going back until you maybe flash your phone or something. So you understand? So if you click on it, build number, it now count down to 2 more clicks to become a developer, 1 more click to become a developer, and then you're now a developer. We're not give you developer options. Okay, so your developer options are some things that you can use to that help you while developing apps. So this is like options you get, just the name developer options. Okay, so developer options, you need to have USB debugging enabled. You understand? For Android Studio to work, you need to have USB debugging enabled. Okay, so that's one of the things. You can actually maybe done this one. I don't know if this one is important. I can't tell for now. I've totally forgotten. But that's the really setting I have now for my developer options. Okay, so let me go back. Um, there's another thing I should add. By default, sorry. Recently, there was a time I tried to do something on a new device. I just plugged my USB cord in, and then I tried to install the app. Yeah, from Android Studio, but it was not reading. My phone was not showing like this. You understand? So I had to Google and get some information. That was a very long time ago, sure. But basically, you have to have this open. You understand? Okay, sorry. Let me just clear this information. You have to have this here. This when your USB debugging is on, this one will show. You understand? This will be showing. Okay, but here, these transfer options for your phone, you actually have to set it to MTP. You understand? MTP is the default you have for when you want to transfer files. You understand? If it was in charging or PTP or whatever, I don't think it works. But I think the fix there was I don't know if it was a security change on Android. The new Android devices, you need to have your phone on MTP for your device to start showing and working. So that was one of the things I noticed. So maybe that will solve someone's problem, but if it doesn't, uh, you can still ask me some other questions. So that's how to set up your phone for development. You can actually connect your code, do whatever you want, and everything starts working fine. I actually use my phone for, I don't know, I don't actually prefer emulators. Like emulators have their advantages, but if you want something that is easier to run, like I've actually noticed lightning speed development with phones. With phones, it's easier to develop apps. Like everything is fast, and once you click, it runs. You understand? and mostly your phone will be something that is high end, so you can just automatically rebuild, like very fast build. Okay, so why I have emulators most times is mostly because of, like, I try to go lower. Like, okay, like my phone is like Android version 8 or 9 Abby. So I try to go low. My This one is API level 22, which is okay, that's like 6 Abby. Marshmallow. That's marshmallow. Okay. No, after lollipop. Lollipop was Android version API 21. So my this thing was 22, which is marshmallow. So I try to like see the changes. When a new version of Android comes out, not Android Studio. When a new version of Android comes out, that's from lollipop to marshmallow to nougat to Oreo and going up. There are some new features that are added. So I try to like vary my device types so that when I run on different devices, I can see the changes. I can see what maybe the lowest version I have on my app is normally API 21. So I can see what someone with the minimum version the of Android that runs my app will see, and what someone with a higher end phone will see at the same time. So I can compare and contrast and some that thing. So that's for that. Okay, so I think I should go to the main thing now. Okay, so the main thing. Okay, this is my view. This is the let me go through like as I taught it in the class. Like, okay, so I told you guys about the Gradle scripts and everything. So this is the schema I told you guys about. There is the Android. There's so many actually. Like, I have not used everything here. Like, I have not. I normally use project because it shows everything. It shows your libraries, everything you stored in your apps, your libraries that are here, that you use in your app, everything, and your app. This is exactly how my app is on my storage. So the exact way it is on my storage. That's how um, project shows it. So Android is for keeping things simple. Everything that is related to Android that helps you making your app. You just go straight to the point. Okay, so um, let me talk about some things. My build.gradle file, the project level build.gradle file. This is where just from the comments you see the importance of the build.gradle file for the project level. It says top level build where you can find configuration options common to all sub projects. So if you have apps later in the future, when you start developing and getting complex, you see apps that have different sub modules. Okay, uh, for now, just know that this app here is a module. You can, okay, you see there, it writes out Java module. You see, okay. So just know that this app is a module. Okay, so when you add other modules, like maybe another module for your wristwatch version of the app, this here, this build.gradle file will contain configurations that you can use here for the app module and the wear module. You understand? So instead of copying up and down, copying the so just one place for configuration for all things that concern the project. Okay, that's the project level build.gradle file. You can see here that you define your Kotlin version and you use it here and some other places on the app. Okay, so there's not much here, just repositories and your cleaning task. This is a Gradle task, you understand? So I touched on that a little, but tasks usually come by default. When you install plugins, you don't need to do much. You don't even need to write anything. They are just generated for you mostly. Okay, so I will not be touching on that right now. So let me just go through the main things. Okay, so These are the plugins I told you guys about. Okay, this is your app module builder gradle file. I've closed the project module builder gradle file, which is this one. I opened the app module builder gradle file. So this is are the plugins I was telling you about. This is plugins that help you for Android application development. This is for Kotlin Android, and this is for Kotlin Android extensions. You guys will go through this later mostly, but for this and this I think these two are the most used. And Kotlin extensions is another topic. It's just like shortcuts. Let me just put it like that for you guys. It's like shortcuts. Like instead of you writing like the full thing, mostly for apps, you just write shorter code, something like that. So Kotlin Android extension is cool. You guys check it out. So here, there's some settings you see: Android settings, compile SDK version, the build tools version. So these guys are actually important. So these are default configuration, your application ID, your minimum SDK version, your target SDK version, your version code. These are where you version. This is where you version your app, version 1, version 1.2 or whatever, or version 2 or whatever. Okay. So some other things like your test runner, instrumentation test runner. Okay, so these are configuration for releases. Just be Groovy sometimes can look very. It's the syntax is very simple to understand. So I doubt you guys will have problem with this, like understanding what I'm trying to say. So I'm just assuming that you guys are fluent, but yeah, there are some settings you will see Mimify enabled false. This means that when your app you want to release your app, uh, your code will not be mimified. Okay, so it's off by default. This is ProGuard. ProGuard is a tool that helps you protect your code, like so that when someone tries to reverse engineer your code for after you have released it, it will be very difficult for them. And right now this settings is empty by default. Okay, so these are dependencies. This is where you actually come with your dependencies, your app level build or gradle. Like okay, you need you saw one cool library on GitHub, like okay, you want to add that to your app. Like oh, wow, I saw what library can I think of? Glide for image loading or Picasso, whatever. Say you want to add it, you just come here, you just blah blah blah, add implementation, blah blah blah, and then you rebuild your application. Google, sorry, Android Studio will go online and fetch the files, the dependencies files for you. So this is where you add your dependencies. It's very very easy, straightforward. So app compact for Android development. These are the default dependencies you have. So okay, I think I should share a resource for you guys. I don't think that resource will be too much for you guys. There's this repo called Google Maven repository. Okay, or something. This is where all the dependencies most times you use for your app are there, and the versions. Okay, but most times it will be created for you by default. So when you just need something from Google, maybe another library from Google or something, or from a third party library you saw on GitHub, you can go to the library on GitHub and get them one. Or for Google, if you need something from the platform, the main Android this, because all these are still things that you import, libraries that you get, understand, that are provided by Google by default. Okay, so if you need some other things, you see the versions there. Most times, where you are trying to learn it from, like maybe if you want to use Firebase or something, you see in the Firebase documentation what to import. Like if you are using it in an Android app, import this and this and this. So most times, okay, you just come here and import. I hope you guys understand. If not, you can ask me questions on that. But let's move forward. Okay, so some other things here are not really that big of a deal. They're mostly configuration files for your project, your proxy configuration file, Gradle properties. This one is not that important. This is your Gradle wrapper. So it just show your Gradle version, the parts in your home and all those other things. So you show that I'm using Gradle 5.6.4. But Gradle wrapper is like, okay, so when you actually open the project the first time, you will notice that Gradle was installing, or there was a zip file that was being downloaded. Normally, to use Gradle, you have to install Gradle on your laptop, like how you install Java and start using Java. You now come in the command line and say Java C, and then it will compile, or Kotlin. You install Kotlin, then Kotlin C to compile Kotlin or something. Yes, sir. So instead of doing that, there is something called the Gradle wrapper. Gradle wrapper is like a specific, to define the specific distribution or the type of Gradle version that was used to build the project, so that if I send this project to someone else and that person opens it, the person will have to download this exact version of Gradle so that the project will run the same way. Okay, so Prograd rules. This is the file I was telling you guys for Prograd that by default it is very empty. Like all these are just comments. So yeah, there are actually no rules. Like you have to go and add your own Prograd rules for when you want to release. Okay, so these are also other settings. Your JVM args for your process. Okay, you want to use Android X. That I was telling you, you don't use support libraries. Android X, use Android X and Jettifier. Okay, and then you specify your Kotlin code style. Okay, so these are just default settings. Okay, these settings of Gradle. I think I talked about this one. Yeah, I did talk about this one. So this is where you define things for your application. Like you define the modules that you want to build and all those other things. So most times you don't actually touch this one that much. So see, I just, the thing there generated by default is just include app, and app is the only module here. So if you like have a module you want to remove from the build, just say you remove it, and just say come here and just remove maybe something, watch or something, just remove it here, and it will not build it, it just omit that part. Okay, so it's just like list of all the modules you have and the ones you want to build. Okay, so that's it. And the last one, look all the properties. It just specifies your SDK, where your SDK file is. So this is my SDK part. Okay, so that does it for the Gradle script. So I hope you guys understood that. I hope I am now entering the app part. So Android manifest. This one's really straightforward. Like I hope you guys understand this one. Like there is nothing here to not understand. Like it's just so simple. Android manifest. Every Android app has an Android manifest. So for Android manifest, it's actually just an XML file that showcases like let me just put it in layman terms, like it's like a summary of your app. I don't You cannot make an activity. Okay, you can actually, you can make an activity without declaring it in the manifest. Like, but the funny thing is that if your activity is running, like you can make second activity, and then you can create something that will make, maybe if you click it now from main activity to enter the second activity, you can do that and it will work. You launch it and it will work fine. But if you try to open that app while it's running and you have not declared it in your manifest, you are very wrong. Something will just go terribly wrong. Terribly wrong. Your app will actually crash. Like so, anything you are doing, you actually have to specify it in a manifest for security reasons mostly, and for some other benefits. So you actually just need to look at the manifest once and just see, like, okay, I understand this. It's simple. There is the application tag. The first of all, there is the root manifest tag here. Okay, and the application tag. Okay, so in the application tag, there are just things that about the application. You can see allow backup through the map icon. This is the launcher icon that will show on your app. Okay, so the label is the title of the app, which is uh, defined in this string app name. which is actually hello world. Okay, so this means at means it's going to go to the string resource and fetch the string with the key app name. Okay, so Android Rider round icon. This is an icon for screens that show their launchers in circular shape. Some uh, some phones show icons for apps in square shape, and some show them in round shape. So this one is for round shape. The other one is for square shaped phones. Okay, supports right to left. RTL means right to left. So normally our apps or things we use go from left to right. You understand? But some other countries actually support right to left. So if you have seen Arabic text before, it's left to right. So you get what I'm trying to say. So this means that if I just run my app on that phone, it will just flip, and then the guy can see it in their own way. All those other Arabic people or something. Okay, so this is my theme. The theme for the application. This is application app-wide theme. Okay, you can apply themes and on the application level, and you can also apply it on activity you want specifically. So an activity can have its own theme, an application can have its own theme. So that's and that topic from that day. Okay, so then after the application level, there is the main activity level. Okay, so for now the activity just contains one activity, which is main activity. Okay, so title is just dots. This dot will just um an identifier, is just like trying to show that this is, if you actually control click this, it will take me to this main activity. So okay, so this is trying to say that the Android name is main activity, and this entailed filter here is like trying to qualify the activity, try to show what is the activity about. Okay, not all activities actually have intent filters. Intent filters have their actual purpose. You go into that very much later. There's actually many things you use intent filters for, but for this purpose, this intent filter is just showing that this activity is the main entry point of the application with this Android intent.action.main. That is what it shows, that this is the main entry point of the application. And then this Android intent.category launcher, this shows that this is the launcher activity. This activity is the activity that gets opened when you click the launcher icon. Okay, so I hope that does not confuse you guys. So that's for intent filter. Then the activity closes, the application closes, and the manifest closes. So if you have another activity, you put the activity here. Okay, so the other things actually, you can add your permissions here. Most permissions are usually now asked at runtime. So most times you don't actually have to specify your permission here or something. Most permissions are asked at runtime. Like now, if you want to, you notice in your apps before, when you start your app, you have to like scroll down and then accept all the permissions. Maybe you want to just take an app that maybe does one single thing, and the app is asking you for location, asking you for so many things. So they now change the way permissions are done mostly. So you notice you just install WhatsApp, you just start using WhatsApp, you're using default permissions, the minimum permission for WhatsApp and all those sorts. Maybe SMS, when you want to verify your code, to now grab your code and open. Then if you now maybe want to use WhatsApp for maybe camera, you now notice that when you open that camera section, there will be a pop-up there that will ask you, give me permission, blah 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 blah. Then you now give it permission. So that's what they call runtime permission. Instead of you giving that app all the permissions when it wants to start, you give it the permission it actually needs to run. And then if the user wants to access a certain feature, the app that needs that permission, and you ask for that permission. Okay, so that's for Android manifest and some other things. Okay, so let me go to the Java section. This side is for your Android instrumented test. I will not touch here, and this for your unit tests. These are not even in our radar right now. So okay, so let's go to the main activity. I think I Okay, I've not talked about main activity. Okay, so main activity is just this an app, an activity. Okay, so it does not actually extend activity directly. It extends app compact activity. So an app compact activity inherits from activity. So it's so main activity actually now inherits from activity. So main activity is an activity, is of type activity. If you understand object oriented inheritance, you know what I'm talking about. I hope you guys should understand the basis of object oriented programming mostly. I, you guys need that knowledge when you want to do things like callbacks, interfaces, and other things. When you're trying to use patterns in your app. I hope I'm not going too complex, but if you actually want to know more about the language, like understand interfaces and all those other things you actually see on Android, it's not just like copy and paste, Seriously, like you guys need to. You, I know you guys will enjoy it. Like wow, so fun. It's actually very fun. Like, okay, so before in Java, you actually have to annotate this. Like you have to something like I think at override. Yeah, something like this. So this does not work in Kotlin. I don't think there's a purpose for this. Nothing shows up here, but override is now a keyword. It's no longer a an annotation in the way it was before in Java. So this is a function on create. So what it's trying to say is that this function on create is overriding. Okay, so I think this on create method was done by the activity class. So the class just defined this method. Sorry, okay, I did something. Undo. Okay, so this method we are trying to override this method. It means that a parent of main activity. Main activity inherits from app compact activity, which inherits from other things that inherits from um, activity. So somewhere along the line, there's this create activity. So you're trying to like override something that the parents have already done. Okay, so maybe your dad has a book and he wrote something on the book. You can actually come and take the book and override or something. So I'm trying to like break it down so that I don't confuse you guys. So there are actually many override methods you can see. Once you click Control O, you will see all the override things you can override. There is like much, like it's not here. Okay, so app compact activity. These are the ones you can override from app compact activity. Find view by ID, others, and so much. All the parents that you have, the levels you have, there's something you can override. So it's fun. I told you guys it's fun. Okay, so uh, once you do that, you call. Okay, so once this is done, this super here is trying to call the parent method. Okay, that created this on create. Okay, so this super here says okay, that parent method, that's in the on create method of its own. Just do what it normally does, and then do this next line here. So this next line here is now like set activity content view layout activity dot layout activity slash main underscore main. So let me get this straight. This is a method, and that method that has been defined for us. Okay, but in this method there is a parameter that we're supposed to pass. Okay, so this parameter here is a layout. Okay, so I wanted to not talk about this part, but let me just talk about it. Okay, so okay, this is just a normal text. I've not converted this. That's why I saw something. Okay, in my manifest, let me show you guys something. Okay, so before I go, I actually wanted to open the resources folder and go through it before I do this. You notice here, you see something like if you want to reference things from your resources in an XML file, or even in the layout. You want to use something like your drawable from your layout. Okay, use something like at string slash. Okay, so it doesn't have to be string. Maybe for drawable, it will be at drawable slash app name. But when you want to do it in here, you do r dot layout or r dot string dot the name of the something. Okay, so what is this r? Okay, you guys are asking. R is actually like a generated class. You understand? I'm trying to. Okay, it's not. I think I can. Let me switch to project view. Ah, let me not go there. Let me not just go there now. So let me just put it in that. R is a generated class. Okay, it's a class that is generated for us. Okay, I wanted to go through the R class, but I don't think I have that time right now to go through the R class. Okay, so it's just know it's a generated class, and the class contains everything you define in your resources here. I'll go through the resources now so you understand. So that resources here, it now helps us use it in code for our Kotlin classes and Java. But here you can just add string whatever, and it just works for XML. Okay. So you can actually use it here. When here that you need a text, you can just say at, okay, at string app name. And instead of my app to now show hello world, my app will now show, okay, my app name is actually hello world, so it will still show hello world, right? Yep, it still shows hello world. If I change it to something like nope, it's not showing nope. Okay, so Ctrl Z, and you see at string, okay, from an XML file, it works that way. Okay, so you guys may be like, what the hell is R? What does R mean? Don't be confused. Okay, so that's R is just generated. Like it was generated for using code. Okay. So the final one, I've talked about the main activity. Okay, so that's not actually the end of that talk. There's like so much more you guys need to know, and that's why I shared that first resource for you guys at the beginning. You guys go through JetBrains. They just help you okay, to get the knowledge in Kotlin. As I said, the language features. Then you apply the language features to Android development. Okay, so this RES folder is short for resources. It just means everything that your app. You know what? You guys should know what resources means. I don't need to start giving you guys English terms like what is this? So I explained this one drawable. Drawable files are files that you can actually draw on screen. Like it can be drawn on screen, like your look, your icons, your bitmaps, your okay. Icons are actually bitmaps. Okay, so not all icons are bitmaps. There are vectors also. Your JPEGs, your PNG files, your whatever, they are all here. But for here, you see a .xml file. So you're like wondering, how is a .xml file here? This vector file is actually a vector file. So when you look closely, you see there are some things, mathematics up and down, like numbers, field paths, stroke, or whatever, and you can preview actually how what this vector file looks like. And like, okay, this is the actual preview of the file. So like, so all these things I was seeing right now, it's just this. Like, that's what vector files are. Vector files are files that they're not like normal JPEG files and others. Like, you can scale them up and they will not lose quality. They will still be very clean, very decent. Okay, so I think most of you should get it. Like, if you actually just had a little interest in something based on design or whatever, you should know the difference between bitmaps and vectors. But all bitmaps and vectors usually go here in your drawable folder. Okay, so by default for the Hello Code application, they're actually two: the launcher background and the launcher foreground. The background was this one that showed the green background, but for the foreground it's just the Android logo. So all these are just vectors. Okay, so I can scale this one up and it's not this quality. Okay, so that's for the drawables. Okay, so for the layout files are actually accompanying the activities here. So for every fragment, or okay, I'll go back. I've not told you guys what fragments are, but you guys will learn that later. For every activity and fragments that are created, you actually need a layout file. Okay, so this layout file is the one for an activity. Okay, so I actually edited this. Oh wow, I edited this without talking about it. Yeah, wow. So okay, so this the root view is a constraint layout. So I was hearing someone talking about constraint layouts, like why constraint layouts is like the most simple something I have used. Like wow, constraint layouts is like very how no no very good. Constraint layouts, that constraint layout, I think Android development will be very hard for people. Like you have to like do things relatively. No, that yucky. No. So I actually just cleared the constraints. You understand? So I just cleared the constraints from this guy. So I I hope you guys saw what I did. I cleared the constraints with this. This clears all constraints for the little constraints. Okay. So I will now constrain my app. If you don't constrain your app by default, you just leave it there. Um, your app will this will just go to the starting edge here. When your app starts, you will not even see it in your application, or you just see a tiny part of it. Okay, so what you have to do is just get it's just like normal something, but it's just like okay, let's just call it like a rubber band or something. Just like you see, I clicked on it and I dragged it from here to the top, and then I've constrained that part of the text, which is my text view, to the top of the app. Then I click again and drag, and I want to constrain this part to the bottom. You see, okay, so I've equally constrained it from the on the top and the bottom, so it's equally constrained, constrained, or if that's the term. Okay, so here I do that too. It goes to the right because I constrain it to the right, and I've not done anything for the left. And here I do that too. So it's just that's just the way to do it. If the other layouts here, like maybe another button or something, is here, and then I want to do this. Okay, I do this here, and do this here, and do this here. Then I want to do this one to be constrained at the bottom of this one. I can do that. You see, it goes to this button. So if I move this button down, you understand? This button influences this one. You see, so constraint layout helps us in many ways. Like if you are trying to build views, alternate views for things like big screen, what do they call it, tablets. When you're building for tablets, it's easier to swap layouts and then okay, bring this here, move this here, and it will work. It's not usually perfect for big screens, or maybe not just when you create screens in Android, you create a screen, and sometimes you have to like define an alternate layout for maybe landscape. The way it looks for portraits, and when you bend it for landscape, it does not look the same way. You now have to define an alternative layout. Okay, so that constraint layout helps you a lot, because most your values are there, and you just have to move things a little instead of it being so scattered like the way it is in other layouts. The constraint layouts has a lot of advantages. I can't just start going into them right now. Like they are very much. So you guys should enjoy it. Okay, so I will undo for that. Okay, I think I beg where I started. So okay, that's for layout. Now for map. Map is like your icons for your launcher. these were all the icons you need for your launcher. Like launcher, I've told you guys what launcher is now. This is the screen, or the that small icon you see in the app drawer where all the apps are listed. That's your launcher. So there is just one IC launcher for the normal square icons, and round for round icons in case your app uses round icons. So these are just variations of the same launcher or the same image. As you can see, they're just the same name, PNG, IC launcher, the PNG, but the difference is just here, the resolution. Okay, so these are different variations of the app. So this medium will be, you see, it's not that clear, so that clean for big screens. It just works. It works for medium screens, medium sized screens. But the higher you go, the more resolution you have. Like, okay, this is the higher version. So this is the same thing for all of them, just that the resolution is different. The same for the IC launcher and the IC launcher round. Okay, and here this is the values. I told you guys these values was like equivalent for CSS for Android. Okay, so why I said that was that this is where you kind of store things that you need to reuse. Okay, you understand? When you need to reuse colors, you just come here and you store colors like primary color, your primary dark, your okay. You need to add another color. I just come and add with the value. This is your key and this is your value. Just like when you're using things like JSON, that things. Okay, the way you store key value pairs and all that. So this is my key. This is what I use to reference the color primary, and this is the actual value of color primary. So I'll just come somewhere and say at color, because of the way the reference from XML. If I'm doing it from an XML file, maybe if I'm doing it from my Android main activity, I want to be r dot values or Abby. Yeah, I think r dot colors dot something like that. The main details not in my head anymore. Sorry. And string. Okay, r dot string blah blah blah, or at string slash blah blah blah. Okay, so that's the same thing. String resources, and this string is very unique and very important. Why string is unique and important is because string is because of these string values, you can easily localize your app. So if anything I define here, I can easily be able to translate it to other languages. If I can define my strings in this string resource XML, I can use it to define other languages. I hope you guys get. Okay, you can actually go into that later. You can, there are actually variations of the files you can create. Like, okay, so you can create dot slash f sorry, not slash, hyphen fr for France. You can create one for Spain and for other countries, and then in that this thing you have another string resource, string.xml, strings.xml file. That XML file, all the things, all the text and all the buttons that you have written and defined here, they will actually be in the normal language. Like for French, oui or bonjour or whatever that's there. Then the guy reading in French will get it. If it's for Spain or whatever, I don't know Spanish, so okay. So I hope you guys get that one. So styles is just the home for your styles and things. Styles can take themes. Styles can just be some little settings you just want. Like you just want something to apply it for all your text views. There's a particular way you want your text views to be. You just come here, define the style, and just there you just say at style, then reference the style here. Okay, or the styles can also be themes. Like this one is the app theme for my app right now that I'm currently using on my Android manifest. Okay, so this is my app theme here. So you can actually define a theme, and then you can get a theme parent or whatever. You can actually define everything or just use the parent and then override some of the properties. or add some of your own. Okay, so that's it for styles. You go into that later. Okay, so I think that's all for now. There's actually other things in this values folder. They don't come by default. Things like dimensions for dimension. I think there's actually, and there are some other folders, other resource folders. Like, okay, so let me see under resource directory. Okay, so there's so many of them. Navigation, that's for your navigation stuff. Animation, animator, sorry, color, draw. Okay, you have color and draw. There's fonts, so many of them, but most of them are not here now. Fonts is for adding fonts you want to use for your app. Interpolator, I've not used that one. Okay, that one I've not used. Okay, I've used most of them. I've used raw. I've not used transition very much. Okay, so that is most of it. But you can see the drawable resource directory types. You can actually come here and do that. So let me show you something right now. Okay, for the one for values, I told you. Okay, I want to create a values folder. Okay, values folder for people in French. So I'll choose local. Local means where they are from. Okay, so I'll click on here, and then I'll say something like France. Let me see that. France. Okay, I can't find France. Okay, sorry. Let me do that for me. Language. Okay, French. This is French. From any region. It does not matter any region that speaks the French. If you want to be more specific, you understand. And then say, okay, let me choose French. French. People that speak French in France. Then I'll make an app for them. Maybe there's a variation in the way they speak their own languages. Maybe Benin Republic does not speak the same type of French or whatever. Does Canada speak French? Wow. Okay, Burkina Faso, whatever, does not speak the same kind of French or something. Okay, so you can just say any region. Okay, I don't think this actually applies to all different. Okay, I think the countries that have people that speak French or something. Okay, so any region, and then okay, so that adds another value slash fr file for me. To actually see this, I can't see it here, so I can just go to my project file. So it will show as it is on my project. Okay, so res values, you can see that values fr. So everything here, if I can add that string here and then put the values for the hello world alternative for French. So when the guy opens, a French guy installs my app, and the default language for his phone is French, you can open it and see something like bonjour or something. Bonjour is good morning. Bonjour is not hello world. Don't be like me. Don't forget French. So know your French, please. Bonjour is not good morning. Bonjour is not hello world. So I think hello is I don't know. Please don't stress me. Okay, so that's it. I think that's all. Okay. I just the reason I changed this was because Android does not show all these definitions by default. Oh, and you can see here, this is map HDI. You can see in the former Android part it was grouped together. So I advise you guys to use the project view. This is more realistic. This is the way it is on your application. Okay, so try not to use this Android so much. It hides some things. Like you can't see that those values files I just added now. That values fr files. Okay. So if you were wondering why I said this project was my favorite, you have seen it now. I like keeping it real. Don't try to make the thing in the suite for me and I will not know what's going on. All this kind of things. Okay, so I think that's the end of my recording.